Good morning. And happy St. Patty's Day to all of you here. And also, Barbara Lamb, if you're here, happy birthday. My name's Eddie Chin. I'm president of the congregation here at Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. And I'd like to welcome you all on behalf of the board and the program council. You are welcome here, whoever you are, wherever you're from, and wherever you are on your journey. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about our church, there's a visitor information card that's located in the back seat pocket or the pew in front of you, and if you fill that out and hand it to the ushers on your way out, someone will be in touch with you. You could also go to our website at tvuuc.org, and in the menu select Stay in Touch and fill out the virtual visitor card. As we move forward together, please remember that we are each other's keepers. If you or your family are interested in religious exploration programs for children, youth, and parents, our church website has updated information about this year's programs and events, as well as resources for families. And it looks like we got a couple of announcements here. Alice Woody for Family Promise.
Good morning. Apparently there's a lot going on today, and I wanted to just talk to you all briefly about Family Promise. Our Family Promise Week starts March 31st and ends on the next Sunday. We will be having a sign-up in the library for everyone who wants to participate. We need cooks, dinner hosts, overnight hosts. We need people to set up and take down the sleeping quarters for the families, and people to do laundry. We have a huge number of slots available, so don't be shy. Come and read and see what you might want to do. The sign-up will be after church or after service in the library. And if you don't know what Family Promise is, come talk to us. We'll tell you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alice. And now we have Leslie Gangazian from the rummage sale.
Good morning, everybody. Rummage sale has arrived. And so after church today, we will take down the sanctuary. We'll move a piano down the hall. People have already been asking me about when they can bring things in. If you will make sure that we keep that clear path for the piano as you bring your things in, that would be great. Anybody who can stay this afternoon and help us pack up the chairs and set up tables and things like this, you are welcome to. Today we will take donations until 6:30 p.m. For the rest of the week, we're here from 9 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. The kitchen is looking good. We have a lot of food commitments, which I'm pleased for, because I have to be honest, we kind of eat like pigs while we're here. So if you are still inclined to bring food, bring finger foods, crackers, cheese, fruits, whole things like that. It'll be really easy. I really appreciate everybody stepping up and volunteering in various roles, and I look forward to talking with you all this week. See you after church. Thank you.
Good morning. I think I'm next in the parade of guest speakers. My name is Claudia Presley. I'm the Director of Finance and Operations here. If this is your first time visiting us in person or online, let me say welcome. If it's your first time here in the building, one thing you will notice is that during the normal offertory time, we are not passing an offering basket or an offering plate, Those are located at the back of the sanctuary. You're welcome to put in checks or cash. You can also give using our giving kiosk out in the lobby. You can text give using the number 73256, type in TVUUC and the amount that you would like to give. Or there are some cards around the building that say scan me. If you use your phone and scan those, it takes you to our secure giving site. Our offering today is a share the plate offering, which means that half of what you give that is not designated as a pledge will go to the organization for today, which is Justice Knox. In a little while, you will be hearing from a representative for Justice Knox. So please give generously, and thank you for being here with us.
Now, please join us after the service for coffee and conversation in the fellowship hall or out in the patio, weather permitting. And now please turn off your electronic devices as we enter into worship.
Good morning. I'm Elyse, Arring. We would like to acknowledge this morning that we live, work, and create art on the traditional lands of the Tsalagi peoples. Okay, louder? Is this good? Okay. We'd like to acknowledge this morning that we live, work, and create art on the traditional lands of the Tsalagi peoples, now known as the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, and United Kituwa Band of Cherokee Indians, as well as the Soyaha peoples, the Yuchi and Muskogee Creek. We are indebted to these indigenous peoples for their stewardship, both past and present, of this beautiful land. I'd like to add that these acknowledgements are but a first step toward equity for our indigenous nations around the world. Our opening words this morning are from Melandria Williams. Meditation on the power of we. Put your feet down, because we're about to do embodiment. Close your eyes. Breathe in and out. When you hear the word liberation, liberatory spirit, liberatory life, liberatory possibilities, what does that conjure in your soul? When you hear, we are the liberating force, spirit, light, and love, what does that conjure in your spirit? When you hear that we have the power to transform the world around us, what does that mean in your bones? When you hear, we are the power that we have been waiting for, we are, how does that feel in your blood? We are the light, we are the wisdom, we are the ancestors, we are those yet to come. How do we fully hold all that in ourselves? Open your eyes. Look at the people around you and go out and organize.
Please join in singing our chalice lighting hymn.
Love the spirit of this church and service its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our great covenant. Please remain standing if you can, and turn to hymn 1028 in the teal hymnal, The Fire of Commitment, first and last verse.
It is good to be gathered in all the ways that we gather, those of us here in this room or watching from elsewhere in the building or at home or another space. I'm really glad every week to be here in this community. Now, when I was invited to think about what we might do in this Time for All Ages portion of the service that we are offering today around beloved conversations and building beloved community, it occurred to me that many of us in this room may not have been in our religious exploration spaces on Sunday mornings. Some of us have been. How many of us have been in our RE spaces on Sunday mornings? And some of us may not have been. And I wanted to share with everybody, I think you ought to know something about how we work towards beloved community with our young people and those of us who are in those spaces. So, there are some elements that we have. We have a common opening ritual in all of our RE spaces, religious exploration spaces. And is there anybody who has participated in them who can tell me something about what those pieces are that we do? What do we do? We light a chalice. Do we light a chalice in this room too? We do, thank you. What else do we do as part of the beginning parts? What are the things we do every week? Anybody else have ideas? We have some opening words. And there's something we say out loud together every single Sunday that helps remind us of the kind of community we intend to create together. Does anybody know what that might be? What do we call that? A covenant. We have what we call the RE covenant that we use, and every single one of our spaces, we say it out loud every single week. And so when we go down the hallway in a little bit today, we're actually going to go work outside in the garden, but first we're going to have our opening down the hall, and it is the RE covenant, and I have a copy of it here, so we can take a look at it. It looks like this. Now, there have been multiple articulations that people have made about what the core of Unitarian Universalism is, and one of those is referred to as, we used to call it the 7 principles, but we have adopted an 8th principle, the 8 principles of Unitarian Universalism. And our covenant, how many elements are in our covenant? 8. And that is because in our covenant, we have one element of our covenant that aligns with each of the 8 principles, and it is one way in which we make that principle real when we gather together in community. So one way we live out that principle. And so we have 8 elements of our covenant, and in our spaces, we say it out loud together every week, and the really, really tiny writing at the top says, our agreement for ways we will act on our principles so we can make this space as safe, welcoming, and fun as possible for all. Do we want to make this space as safe, welcoming, and fun as possible for all? Yes. We do. I might have a little bit of a bias towards this covenant as a useful tool because we say it every week in RE, but I think we could say it in lots of different spaces as a way of reminding of ourselves the kind of beloved community we are working toward together. And I always ask, when I'm the one leading it, I always ask a question and give an example that the young people who've been in our spaces find very familiar. I need to come up with a different example because they know it really well. But what I often say is, are any of us here perfect people who have never, ever made a mistake or realized afterwards that maybe something we did wasn't the best choice? We don't expect anybody to be perfect people in any of the spaces where we gather as a community. And the example I often give is that I am somebody, if I am talking with you, and we're having a conversation about something and I'm really interested and I get really excited about it, I might just jump in and start talking and not even realize that I am completely interrupting the person who is talking. Some of you may have experienced that. Some of you may have experienced that from somebody else or be a person who does that sometimes. And so I say, when we're in this space together with this covenant, if I do that today, anyone who's here can say, oh, Catherine, remember our covenant. And so we ask that we do our best to uphold our covenant and be willing to be invited back into covenant if we do something that doesn't fit with it. And so I want to invite us to do this morning. And so is there anybody who would like to help me read this out loud? If you would like to, come forward. Yeah, come on up. All right, we're going to read it out loud so that everybody can hear it, because we don't assume that everybody can read it, okay? So would one of you like to say number 1?
Show respect for all.
Thank you. Number 2, Jackson, would you like to do it?
Be kind and fair.
All right. Number 3?
Participate and encourage each other.
Number 4, should we just go back?
Share, listen, and take turns.
Number 5?
Include everyone.
Number 6?
Settle disagreements in peaceful, caring ways.
Number 7?
Take care of each other, our space, and our world.
And number 8?
Challenge racism and oppression wherever we find them.
Thank you so much for your help. There's a reason we do this out loud every single week, because our kids who are part of this program and have come multiple times are building this in their bones as a way to be in community together in the ways that uphold our core values for how to be. This, I think, is perhaps the central thing that we are doing in our spaces when we gather in community. There's a lot of content we offer, and it's really important, and we hope it's really fun and engaging, but I think the most important thing we do might be this covenant and this reminder to ourselves and to each other about how we can create community that does honor and include and support and celebrate everybody and help them be part of it in ways that align with our core values. And so I want to ask all of us who are here this morning in this room or are watching, can we agree to do our best when we are together in community today to uphold this covenant? Yes. And are we willing to be reminded if we step out of covenant of our agreement together and how we are trying to create community together? All right, well, thank you all. And so now you all have a little bit of a taste of what we do when we walk out of those doors and down the hall. And we are gonna head out. So this morning, we are actually gonna be in the community garden doing some planting for a Helping Hands project. We're gonna start in our rooms down the hall, but parents or guardians, if you have kids in our program this morning, you're gonna have to find us out in the garden at the end of the time today. And that is the community garden, which is right on the other side of the sanctuary here. So now we are going to sing our learners and leaders who are heading to our spaces out with our recessional. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is David Massey. I'm a member of the spiritual care team here at TVUUC. You know that you may contact us anytime by phone or text on the pastoral care line. That number is on the back of your order of service this morning and in our weekly newsletter. Each Sunday we convey joys and concerns in the larger community and in our congregation. In the larger community, many students and parents will return to regular routines tomorrow after spring break. Unfortunately, the radical right Tennessee legislature is giving no breaks to members of the LGBTQ+ community. This week in Nashville, no fewer than 5 different anti-LGBTQ bills are moving through various committees in the House and the Senate. You can read about and protest these bills through the website of the Tennessee Equality Project, tnep.org, or just Google Tennessee Equality Project, and the link is right there on their home page. Make a note. Please do that this afternoon. In our community, Nina Lee Braden, our former administrative assistant here at the church, remains in rehab at Life Care Center of Blount County. Her hand is healing well from arthritis surgery last month, but she is still having difficulty breathing. And in fact, she has contracted pneumonia again, so we send our healing energy to Nina Lee. Our thoughts and prayers are with Arlene Rose, whose daughter Alana Gray died on Monday, March 11th, at the age of 17. Alana was being treated at the intensive care unit at the East Tennessee Children's Hospital for an overdose of fentanyl. The extended family encourages everyone to have candid conversations with the young people in our lives about the dangers of addiction and the hope of recovery. Arlene is a former member of TVUC, now living in Asheville. Alana and her brother Kieran grew up in our church. Alana will be remembered for her sense of humor, her beautiful singing voice, and her strength and determination. A memorial service will be announced at a later date. As reported earlier, Tony Laddish, son of former TVUC member Mark Laddish, died earlier this year. A memorial service is being planned and details will be announced soon. We joined Tina Becker, who is mourning the loss of her mother, Pat Larson, who died last week in Illinois at the age of 93. Pat taught hundreds of children to swim, including the musician Alison Cross. She also had quite a following in her yoga and water aerobics classes. Tina's dad, Ken, who was a geologist, married Pat in 1953, and they had 3 children, Tina and her 2 brothers. You are all in our prayers, Tina. Is Dave Holden here today? Yes. Where is he? Dave, we are glad to see you in the church this morning. On Tuesday, Dave had elective surgery to repair an umbilical hernia. A what? An umbilical hernia occurs when part of your intestine bulges through the opening of your abdominal muscles near your belly button. Umbilical hernias are common and typically harmless but can require emergency surgery. So, if you were an innie growing up and over time you've become an outie, you need to see your doctor. You may have an umbilical hernia. Dave Holden, thank you for the medical tip for the week. We are grateful that Noel Sneed is home and recovering very well from jaw surgery last week. Noel's mom, Jenny Sneed, who is active in our RE program, reports Noel was back at the Dungeons and Dragons table on Thursday and is looking forward to ending her liquid diet. And here is some scary news that turned into good news for Chance Adams and his parents, Trish Adams and Ben Hicks. Last weekend, the shunt in Chance's brain malfunctioned, and he had to be rushed into emergency brain surgery. Trish got the news via text at the beginning of a 6-hour plane flight to Northwest Canada. Imagine Trish's feeling of helplessness during that 6-hour flight. And yet a village of friends and medical experts came together to assist, and by the time Trish's plane had landed, the surgery was over and the operation was successful. Trish shares this on her Facebook page. Chance is doing amazingly well. It appears this tough cookie has been held back by a faulty shunt for God knows how long. Chance is absolutely thriving now. He has more energy, thinking quicker, and overall happy as a clam. As soon as he awoke from surgery, he was clearly doing well. So good wishes to her. Yeah. Is Tony Powell here? Okay. So after weeks and weeks of being unable to move about due to severe hip pain, and more weeks and weeks following difficult hip replacement surgery and slow but steady progress with physical therapy, Tony Powell is back in this building for the first time since November. Tony, we honor your tenacity and your fighting spirit. 2 more joys. Lorraine Smith, a member of TVUC who now lives in California, is in town visiting friends. Welcome home, Lorraine. And Claudia Presley and Russell Dern are celebrating the birth of their grandchild, Maylee, who was born Wednesday to their daughter, Kimmy. Congratulations, Claudia. For all of these joys and concerns, and those that are unspoken or unknown, we send our light and hope into the world.
Good morning. My name is Elnora Williams. We, the 8th Principal Task Force team, is delighted to present a beloved conversation service this morning, and with reflections and recognition of beloved community advocated by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Beloved Conversations is a program for people seeking to embody racial justice as a spiritual practice. The program is grounded in Unitarian Universalism, developed and offered by the Falls Collaborative at Meadville Lombard Theological School and open to all learners. In Beloved Conversations, the opportunity is given for healing racism in our lives in order to get free together. The in-person version of Beloved Conversation was held here at TVUC in 2015. I was a member of the class, and many of the members are here today. The newest version of the curriculum is virtual and offers a digital format that increases accessibility for many users, an opportunity to engage in different styles of learning and processing, a developmental approach that works to meet learners wherever they are and move forward together from there. A space is offered for white people gathering to work on becoming liberated and examine how racism shapes their lives, looking at the guilt and shame. An explicit commitment to centering the spiritual needs of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, including explicit resources developed to meet the intellectual, historical, and spiritual needs of Unitarian Universalists of color living in a world, and a religious community that privileges white cultural norms. A framework that acknowledges and honors the spiritual nature of this work, and is clear that racial identity formation and a deep understanding of racial justice are essential to our personal and religious development. The virtual program with the N+ Exploration Station has already begun, and I'll say more about that in just a few minutes. Today, enjoy and be inspired by members and staff, Elyse Arring, Denise Coleman, Patsy Farmer, Catherine Farmer Lawyer, who's already been up here, Chloe Waters, Mark Mohundro, Seema Singh, Reverend Mice is not here today, John Montgomery, and Elnora Williams. The 8th Principal team members are MJ Aiken, Eddie Chin, Patsy Farmer, Mark Mohundro, Mayor Rogge, Seema Singh, Chloie Watters, and Elnora Williams. I would like to extend an invitation to you today to please stop in the Fellowship Hall because we have more information about the 8th Principal, and also you can get information on how to register for the next virtual Beloved Conversations that's coming up. Thank you.
Ezekiel cried in dry bones, Ezekiel cried in dry bones, Ezekiel cried in dry bones, now hear the word of the Lord. Ezekiel connected them, dry bones, Ezekiel connected them, dry bones, Ezekiel connected them, dry bones, now hear the word of the Lord. Where your toe bone connected to your foot bone connected to your heel bone connected to your ankle bone connected to your leg bone connected to your knee bone connected to your thigh bone connected to your hip bone connected to your backbone connected to your shoulder bone connected to your neck bone connected to your head bone. Now hear the word of the Lord. Them bones gonna walk around. Them bones gonna walk around. Them bones gonna walk around. Now hear the word of the Lord. Disconnect them bones, them dry bones. Disconnect them bones, them dry bones. Disconnect ankle bone, your ankle bone connected from your heel bone, your heel bone connected from your foot bone, your foot bone connected from your toe bone. I hear the word of the Lord. Stem bones, dry bones, stem bones, dry bones, stem bones, dry bones. And I hear the word of the Lord. Stem bones, dry bones, stem bones, dry bones, stem bones, dry bones. I hear the word of the Lord.
Let us enter into a time of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, help us to understand that just as our bones are connected, we are connected. We are connected to one another in congregation. We are connected to one another, helping one another. We are connected to those we don't know. We are connected to those who demand justice. We're connected to those who hunger. We are connected to those who suffer from war. We are connected all over the world. Let us now enter into a time of meditation to think about the covenant that we enter into to care for one another. Amen and blessed be.
Some sing of the past, of battles lost and won.
Some sing of their dreams of a new day in the sun.
Some sing out for love, and some sing just for fun. In the circle of song, we are one. Come join with me in the circle of song, the young and the old, the weak and the strong, singing with one voice, though we may speak different tongues. In the circle of song, we are one. Some sing of this land, the country of their birth.
Some sing of this land, of the beauty of the earth.
Some sing of this land for all that it is worth. In the circle of song, we are one. Viens avec moi dans ce cercle d'amis. ce cercle d'amis tous unis. Each of us must leave this place and go back to our home.
Each of us must walk a path that must be walked alone.
And each of us will bear the fruit of the seeds that we have sown. In a circle of song we are one. Come join with join in the circle of song. Weak and the strong, singing with one voice, though we may speak different tongues. In the circle of song we are one. Come join with joy in the circle of song. Weak and the strong, singing with one voice, though we may speak different tongues. In the circle of song we are one. In the circle of song we are one.
Good morning. My name is Denise Coleman. In tribute to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, January 15, 1929 to April 4, 1968, who embodied a love of community, I will share an excerpt from the 2014 preface of A Witness to the Truth and Don't Sleep Through the Revolution by Unitarian Universalist Association Beacon Press from the 1966 Ware Lecture delivered by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., Unitarian Universalist Association General Assembly in Hollywood, Florida, on May 18, 1966. Unitarian Universalists have always felt a particular kinship with Dr. King. As he recounted in his 1966 Ware Lecture, his relationship with our faith community began in the early 1950s when he was a student at Boston University and visited the Arlington Street Church to hear the Reverend Dana Greeley preach. Many UUs were active in the civil rights movement, so it was no surprise that Dr. King reached out to the leaders of the Unitarian Universalist Association in the wake of a Bloody Sunday in Selma in March 1965 and asked clergy to come to Selma to bear witness to the brutality of the local authorities who were attempting to prevent the proposed march to the state capitol in Montgomery. The Reverend James Reed, a UU minister serving in Boston, was one of those clergies who responded to Dr. King's call. Reed, along with two fellow ministers, was attacked on a street in Selma and died 2 days later in a hospital in Birmingham. He was 38 and left behind a wife and 4 children. Dr. King eulogized Reed at a memorial service in Brown Chapel AME in Selma on March 15, 1965. Dana Greeley, then president of the UUA, invited Dr. King to deliver the Ware Lecture at our annual General Assembly in 1966. In Don't Sleep Through the Revolution, Dr. King noted the sacrifices of Reed, of Jimmy Lee Jackson, the young man from Marion, Alabama, whose murder by an Alabama state trooper led to the Selma demonstrations, and of Viola Liuzzo, a UU layperson who left her home in Detroit to go to Selma and was murdered while driving on the way to Montgomery. Their deaths, said Dr. King, led to the passage of the historic Voting Rights Act of 1965. He exhorted the Assembly UUs and all people of faith to live up to the church's responsibility to be the moral guardian of the community and of society. To accomplish this, Dr. King said, we must recognize the unity of our global community. And this social revolution must be based on love, not hate. We must learn in our later UU formulation to stand on the side of love. In that Ware lecture, it was seen that Dr. King was beginning to articulate a vision of the interconnectedness of issues of poverty, housing, education, peace, and justice. Dr. King was committed to radical love, a revolutionary witness embodied in anti-imperial, anti-colonial, anti-racist, and democratic socialist sentiments, was grounded in his courage to think, his courage to love, and his courage to die, as quoted by Cornel West in anthology, Beacon Press's King Legacy Series.
Definitely not as tall as Denise. I'm Chloe Airoldi-Watters, and I believe that probably most of you already know me. But if you don't, come up during the coffee hour. Let's introduce ourselves. Let's become the beloved congregation that I know we can be. Today, I want to talk to you about taking the Beloved Conversations course that was offered by Meadville Lombard in Chicago. And I liked it so much that I took it multiple times. When I first heard about it, I went online to register, and the cost of the course was a little prohibitive for my income. But they did say that you could apply for a scholarship, which is what I did, and they gave me one, and then they gave me 3 more. It is a fantastic course, and I really loved it. So if you're thinking of taking it but can't afford it, they'll give you a scholarship. The program includes individual lessons, which use videos, music, readings, and then they're accompanied by personal reflections and conversation with your critical friend that you get to choose yourself. And I was lucky because I had Patsy. And you also have a learning pod, which meets bi-weekly after the lesson falls, and there's 6 lessons. Okay. When you meet with your pod, you get to discuss issues that are really important, and you can feel comfortable because it's like being in a small group. You get to be very safe feeling with these people. It was definitely a transformational process for me. It helped me stand up for what I believe without explanations. I live in a low-income government housing. Now, it's very inclusive as far as race, gender, and gender identities, but it's also very conservative. People are telling me that what's wrong with school today is no prayer, and that children will go to hell if they don't behave. Well, I can't listen to that anymore, and I tell them that's not what I believe. And if they want to, I'll tell them why. I also tell them I am agnostic, and that doesn't seem to be much of a problem because a lot of them have no idea what that means. Well, Beloved Conversations has fostered a sense of community and fellowship. Meeting people from all over the country on a regular basis, you become like a little family. You can discuss important topics with people who think a lot like yourself, much like coming to church here. So I brought my laptop with me, and in the fellowship hall, there's a table with more information, and I'll be there, and I will show you some of the courses and some of the resources if you like. So thank you very much. And now we're going to sing hymn 1030 in the teal hymnal.
I know you'll help me if I mess up with the microphone. I am Patsy Farmer, and I'm wearing two hats today. First, I'm going to tell you about a class that we have this afternoon. So I'm representing TVUUC's Adult RE Committee and the 8th Principal Task Force, and I'm inviting you to session 6 of our Wait a Minute series, today at 12:30 in room A. Our topic will be, surprise, beloved conversations. Beloved conversations? Wait a minute. You may be thinking, wait, conversations with my TVUUC beloved community are all I need. You may be thinking, wait, beloved conversations sounds just like what I'm looking for. You may be somewhere in between. Wait, beloved community, beloved conversations, I'm confused. You may be thinking something altogether different. Whatever you're thinking, please join us. Bring any intriguing ideas that you hear as we share our reflections today on the Beloved Conversations program. We'll delve a little deeper into them. Bring any questions you have about the program itself. We'll attempt to answer them. And for those of you that stay, there will be pizza to help tide you over till you can get some real food. We also hope you will join us for after the third services in April and May for the final Wait a Minute sessions of the church year. So now, on the Beloved Conversations, my experience with that. I took both terms of the virtual Beloved Conversations phase for white people in 2021. It is subtitled Unlearning White Supremacy. It is internal work for extracting our souls and spirits from white supremacy culture. As you have already heard a little, the internal work was supported by valuable conversations with my critical friend Chloie, with a small group of 5 participants, and breakouts during the meaning-making services. So those were joint services. I still meet monthly with my small group from the first term. They and Chloe continue to help me grow. I'll admit the first session's focus on a new beginning put me off a little. Hadn't I already done some of this internal work? I was also confused by the claim that the work is liberating. Luckily, I've been around the block a few times, and I had a nagging thought that perhaps I just didn't get it yet, which turned out to be true. Beloved Conversations did meet me where I was. It can do the same for you with its flexibility and variety that's woven throughout the program. I want to tell you about some of Beloved Conversations' antidotes to white supremacy culture that have been particularly important to me. First, moving together at the speed of trust. That means deep listening, not thinking about what I'm going to say next. It means replacing unwarranted negative feelings with curiosity, with looking for common values and goals. It also means recognizing that building trust is done together, that it takes time, and it can't be rushed. The power sharing and fellowship section means letting go of the need to control things, which was a big one for me, gracefully accepting ideas and supporting decisions that aren't my first choice, another one I've had to work on. Being a good follower and doing whatever needs to be done. I like that part, actually. It means remembering that my way is never best, that what feels like objectivity to me may be actually a subjective white truth. Our way will be better every time if it's led by frontline wisdom and collaboration with members of affected communities. This is another big one. I'm enough and you are enough. That means letting go of perfectionism. Wherever I am in my learning and growth is fine, and I have an obligation to continue from there. It also means wherever you are in your learning and growth is fine, and I have an obligation to appreciate what you bring to our work. Hold on a second. Well, I have misplaced the rest of my talk. There are other wonderful things. As you can see, it causes us to dig deep. And in fact, I'm still noticing things about life that have me dig deeper. Some of us visited the mosque here in Knoxville a couple of weeks ago. And we had a wonderful introduction to Islam. And among the things that we learned was that Islam does not permit the kind of aggressive aggression that Muslim, quote, Muslim terrorists are engaged in. And my wonderful friend, and probably yours too, Mary Rogge, made a great comment linking that idea and the idea of the Ku Klux Klan's violence here in the name of Christianity. And then on the way home, we were talking about that idea, aggression in the name of religion. And my head went immediately to the Crusades, completely forgetting about Mary's wonderful comment, which was much more appropriate to the topic. And later I got to thinking, is there some denial in that? And then I remembered
when I was very small, my fear when we drove by a cross burning one night. And then I remembered that my family moved from Tuskegee when I was very small because they were afraid of the violence. And I now believe that that kind of forgetting is internalized denial that allowed us Southerners to dissociate ourselves, white Southerners, from what was going on around us. And so I'm still figuring out how to dig a little more into that. At any rate, I hope you are interested in Beloved Conversations. I would love to make that journey with you all, focusing on implementing the 8th principle and the Article 2 values. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, and please consider joining us at 12:30. Room A.
Good morning. My name is Mark Mohundro. I work here at the church as well as being one of the lay leaders here. I'm a 6'1" white man. I'm wearing glasses. My hair is blonde and brown with a lot of gray creeping into it. I'm wearing jeans and white tennis shoes. Now you might ask yourself why I did that. It's something that's come up in our staff meeting and some of our worship planning meetings. Making the assumption that everyone has perfect sight or can see is being ableist. There are people that I know for sure that watch our services online that they have low vision or can't see. And that's part of the 8th Principle's work, just as far as making things accessible to everybody and being equitable. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with Beloved Conversations. I've taken both the fall and the spring terms as well. And one of these days, if I ever slow down enough, I'd like to take them again. But we'll see how that goes. And people who know me, that means that probably won't happen. So, anyway, there's two things as far as Beloved Conversations that it helped me grow with. One of them I was aware of. The other one I didn't really think about as far as terms of white supremacy culture. So those are perfectionism, as Patsy talked about just a little bit, and finding joy in the struggle. Building beloved community is the work of creating a society where everyone is welcomed, respected, and valued. It is a community where we all have a voice and where we all work together to create a better future for ourselves and for generations to come. Beloved Conversations and building beloved community is not about perfection. In fact, it is quite the opposite. It is messy at times. It is not fun at times, but it is that's one of the reasons why you have to find joy in the struggle. But Beloved Conversation and our imperfections, it's about embracing those and working together to create the world that we want. Here are a few reflections on how you can find joy in the struggle, which for me is really important because if I don't find that joy, it just becomes hate starts creeping in, despair starts creeping in, but just finding joy and knowing that, yeah, I mean, things are not good at this moment, but I need to take care of myself. So some of the ways that I do that and some suggestions, if you ever want to do that, be grateful for what you have. Even when things are tough, there's always something to be grateful for. Take time to appreciate the good things, big and small. This is a big one for me. Focus on the journey, not the destination. I don't want to get so caught up in the end goal that you forget to enjoy the journey. The journey is where real growth and learning happens. It is not about the outcome. I doubt with some of the stuff that I'm working on, I will see the day where it gets taken care of, but that doesn't matter. It's making the most of this moment right now. finding strength in community, which I get from this community, that's for sure. So I surround myself with people who support and love me, and community can help you get through difficult times and celebrate the good ones. Be kind to yourself. Everyone makes mistakes, and you certainly are going to make a mistake doing some of this work, and it is perfectly okay. If you get perfection, that's great too, but I don't think it's going to happen. So, also, forgiveness is a powerful tool for healing and moving on. And never give up hope. Even when things are tough, never give up hope. Hope is the light that guides us through the darkness and helps us find ways to fill our cup, because pouring can't happen from an empty cup. White supremacy perfectionism is a harmful ideology that tells us we must be perfect to be worthy of love and respect. This is a lie. We are all worthy of love and respect, regardless of our flaws and what we do. My worth is not determined by my output. I'm not perfect at this, and sometimes I know I work myself too much, but it is something that I'm aware of and working on. Beloved Conversations and building beloved community is about creating a space where everyone is welcome, regardless of their race, gender, sexual orientation, or other identity. It is about creating a space where we can all be ourselves without fear or judgment. This is not about creating a perfect society. It is about creating a society where everyone is treated with dignity and respect. It is about creating a society where everyone has a voice and where everyone can participate in creating a better future. Here are some reflections as far as final reflections. Have patience and understanding, acknowledging that engaging in beloved conversation and building beloved community takes time and practice. So it's important to be patient with ourselves as well as being patient with others. Openness to learning and growth. Beloved conversations and building beloved community are not about being right or wrong, but about learning from each other and growing together. Forgiveness and hope, recognizing that everyone makes mistakes and forgiveness is crucial for healing and moving forward. By practicing beloved conversations and building beloved community, we can create a world, create this world that we dream of. And I hope you'll join us, and if you do, come with us, and I hope you do. I covenant to walk with you. That journey is for as long as I can. So that's all I've got right now. Thanks, y'all. Hope to see you in either the next principal meeting or this class next time I get a chance to take it.
So Mark is 5'1", is 6'1", I'm 5'1", so. Spacious Love, from Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams. For us to transform as a society, we have to allow ourselves to be transformed as individuals. For us to be transformed as individuals, we have to allow for the incompleteness of our truths and a real forgiveness for the complexity of human beings. We need to see what we're trapped inside of so that we're able to respond to the oppression, the aggression that we're confronted with. But that we also have to do that with a deep sense of knowing that there are people, human beings, on the other side of that baton, on the other side of that stick, on the other side of that policy. They're also trapped in something, in a suffering. Hold that at the core of who you are when responding to things. I think the only way that we can really move forward and for us to not just replicate other systems of oppression for the sake of our own cause, Bell Hooks gave a lens into that possibility of love. Being something that we could bring into the language of our perception of the world, and that love is not limited to my bedroom or my family or just the people that I like. What our culture calls us to do is to use love to be a quantifier of, do I have a preference for you? Are we aligned? Are we in agreement? Are we in affinity? Are you reflecting back at me what I want reflected back at me? And if you are enhancing my idea of myself, then, and only then, I love you. That's a limited way of understanding love. Think of love as space. It is developing our own capacity for spaciousness within ourselves to allow others to be as they are. That doesn't mean that we don't have hopes or wishes that things would change, that people would change. But to come from a place of love is to be an acceptance of what is, even while in moving towards something that is more whole, more just, more spacious for all of us, for its bigness, its allowance, its flexibility. To remember, police officers, people, humans, are trapped inside of a system as well. They are subject to an enormous amount of suffering, as we all are. I think those are the things that are missed when we shortcut talking about King, when we shortcut talking about Gandhi. We leave out the aspects of their underlying motivation for moving things. We make it about policies and advocating, when really it's about expanding our capacity for love.
Good morning. Share the plate. Today, we are sharing the plate with Justice Knox. To begin this, I'd like to introduce you to the 5 players from our church, main players, who are involved in Justice Knox. And they're all here, so. Greer Novinger, can you stand up, please? She is our board representative from our whole congregation. Judy Gibson is her stand-in and basically organizes the rest of us. And Polly Murphy, would you stand up? She was a member of Justice Knox before this church was. And no, I want you to stay standing because, and Ruth Horton, she is also a member, and so am I. And I want you to know who we are, so if you have any questions, we can probably answer them, or we'll know how to get an answer for you. We want to grow this organization here at the church. We have about 35-ish network members in this church. We are one of 24 congregations, 24. And this is an opportunity for you to support this church's connection to Justice Knox. But I want to tell you about a couple other things. Network members, those of you who are here or online, I want you to know that tomorrow is the big rally where we all get together at the First Presbyterian Church on State Street with free parking and free childcare from 7 to 8:30, and this is when we find out the results of the research this year and what we're planning to ask of our elected and appointed officials in the various committees, from the various committees. Please come and bring your sheets of paper with you. You'll know what I mean by that. And then I want everyone here and online to understand that you are invited on Tuesday, this Tuesday, March 19th at 6 p.m. at Mount Olive Baptist Church at 1601 Dandridge Avenue to hear Julia Orlando. She is from Bergen County, New Jersey, and in her leadership meant that they were the first county in the United States to achieve what is called functional zero in homelessness of veterans and the chronically homeless. What they did there, we need to do here. She goes all across the country now telling people how it might be accomplished. You can come and hear her and be enthused and excited as well. Everyone's invited, all the member congregations. The following day, she'll be talking to the mayors, the councilmen, the commissioners, and the healthcare providers for the homeless. Okay, and then you're also all invited to come to the Nehemiah Action Assembly on Tuesday, April 9th, and talk to any of us to get more information about that. If you are not called by a member of our network, you can come anyway. Please do. And then after that action, we'll have a celebration. But today, thank you for your generosity. I know we do have the fire of commitment. Help us grow it with this generosity today. Thank you.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Come on, sing with us.
Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up the world, well, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
I'm going to try to talk as fast as I can. Okay. To do justice, I would just have to tell you that we started Beloved Conversations back in January 2015. And the group who participated in Beloved Conversations was Zoe Berkshire-Wisley, John Montgomery, very briefly, Morgan Wilson, Reverend Kim Mason, Reverend John Coffey, Irvin Williams, Reverend Gordon Gibson, Lance McCole, Reverend Chris Weiss, and Elnora Williams. It was an 8-week seminar. It was pretty much free, and we had a wonderful time for 3 days. But before we left there, we had the understanding of implications that we had to do here at TVUUC. And I declare, I think we're still working on some of those initiatives that we had thought about. The first one was worship speakers, music, and time. Social justice ministries, religious education for children, youth, and adults. Membership, and we're still working on membership. Outreach communication within the city, state, and world. Policies and procedures, and we're still doing that. Accountability for socially, economically oppressed people. Spiritual development. Reconciliation with people of color in the congregation and city, region, and all over the world, and also spiritual care. I would say that the sessions profoundly helped me to heal, stand strong, stay the course. I have one story to share with you that helped me, and it goes back to 1969. I was the only black teacher in the upper elementary grades at Rice Mill Road in Auburn, Alabama. It was back to school in-service time. My white principal, Kathleen Lord, was having a regular faculty meeting when she announced that the 3rd through 5th grade teachers were attending an in-service at Birmingham Southern College in Birmingham, Alabama. Well, she said to the staff, I must say, Elnora Williams is a member of this staff, and she will be staying in the same dorm, same rooms, eating together, and traveling with us the entire time. Ms. Lloyd and the administration worked to ensure great and safe experiences, but racism and discrimination had to be addressed. It was a beloved conversation with the understanding that this is the way it was going to be. So in turn, she was just special to me, and I got a student teacher every year, and I learned that I was to help other student teachers to grow too. In this church, Jenna Mashburn, I did not know this until a few months ago. I said to Jenna, Jenna, were you the one who asked me to be on the board of Florence Credits? And she said, yes, Elnora, I was the one who suggested that to you. This got the ball rolling for me, and the next thing I knew, I was in beloved conversations with the YWCA, the Friends of the Library Board, the Knoxville Montessori School, the YWCA, and then with the Knoxville Tourism Department, the Chamber of Commerce, Highlander, then on up to General Assembly, still pushing and trying to do the same thing. Our challenges are unlearn facts that promote exclusion, notions of supremacy, and social injustice. Relearn how to live in this world to learn and add new knowledge. Learn to create new ways of being in relationship with other new policies and practices, new roles and new assumptions that guide our everyday thinking and feeling. And as my daughter Elandra said in one of her writings, we are and we will be the ministers, religious educators, congregational presidents, organizers, and social change leaders our faith has led us to be. We wear our faith tattoos on our bodies and in our hearts as testaments to the blood, tears, dreams, and inspirations of our community, ancestors, and elders. Reverend Bice is not here today to give his reflection, so we are now about to sing Lift Every Voice and Sing. Would you please stand? Thank you.
In a few minutes, I'm going to lead in the responsive reading 637 in the gray hymnal. That's responsive reading 637 in the gray hymnal. But first, I'm going to speak a little bit about beloved conversations. I think about heartfelt conversations and where they can lead. They can lead to greater community, which they do here clearly. They can lead to greater understanding. I will never know what the experiences of a person of color is, but I can listen. I can hear. I can try to understand to the best of my ability. And that's what I intend to do. And thank you for letting me be a part of this community. And may we continue to have beloved conversations. Thank you. I will read the regular font, and you read the italics. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference, for each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible, for each time that we have struck out in anger without just cause, for each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others, for the selfishness which sets us apart and alone, for falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit, for losing sight of our unity, for those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness,
from arrogance, pompousness, and from thinking ourselves more important than we are, may some saving sense of humor liberate us. God of our mixed up, tragic, aspiring, doubting, insurgent lives, help us to be as good in our hearts as we have always wanted to be. Amen. As our last act of worship today, turn and greet your neighbor and then join us for coffee. Thank you.
On the rack that's in the exit door. That's perfect. Yes, thank you. Hey, Paul, you did that so well.
Check. Oh, thank you. If everybody would pick up a hymnal or two and take them to the first pew and lay them down so that we can start getting everything set up for rummage. Just look nearby, pick up one or two hymnals, and